The room fell silent the moment Richard slammed his laptop shut. I stood at the front of the conference room, PowerPoint frozen on the screen behind me, feeling every pair of eyes drilling into me like lasers. The client representative sat stone-faced across the mahogany table. Our firm's biggest pitch in 2 years, and the data was wrong. Completely. Catastrophically wrong. Revenue projections didn't match their records. Market analysis contradicted their internal reports. Timeline commitments we'd apparently missed by a full week. Richard's face turned purple. Madison, what the hell is this? My mouth opened but no sound came out. I'd checked everything 3 times. Triple verified every number. This wasn't my presentation. Tessa jumped in, voice dripping with concern. Richard, I tried to warn her the numbers seemed off, but she insisted everything was fine. My head whipped toward her. She looked back with perfect sympathy, hand pressed to her chest. But I saw it. Just for half a second before she adjusted her expression. That tiny smirk. That flash of satisfaction in her eyes. My best friend had just thrown me under the bus. And she was enjoying it. 3 months earlier, everything was different. My name is Madison Cole, and back then, I believed Tessa Vaughn was the best thing that ever happened to my career. We met during new employee orientation at Brightwell Marketing 2 years ago. She was magnetic, funny. The kind of person who made boring corporate icebreakers actually entertaining. I was quieter, the one who solved problems while others talked about solving them. But somehow, we clicked. We became the power duo. Coffee runs before meetings. Laddie nights finishing campaigns together. Weekend brunches where we'd complain about office politics and plan our futures. When my car broke down, she drove me to work for 2 weeks straight. When her apartment flooded, I helped her move into a new place. We weren't just colleagues. We were friends. Real ones. She used to joke that I was her safety net. You catch all my mistakes, Mads. I'd be lost without you. I thought it was a compliment. Looking back, I see it differently now. I was convenient. Useful. Someone who made her look better without realizing it. But back then, I was just grateful to have a friend. The first crack appeared during the Hoffman account pitch. Small thing, really. Almost too small to notice. We'd spent weeks developing a social media strategy for a luxury hotel chain. Joint project, equal workload. The night before the presentation, Tessa sent out the final email chain to Richard and the executive team. I wasn't copied. I only found out when Richard mentioned the proposal in passing, thanking Tessa for her initiative. When I asked her about it later, she laughed. Oh my God, Mads, I'm so sorry. I must have hit the wrong distribution list. You know how crazy yesterday was. I did know. We'd been swamped. So I brushed it off. Mistakes happen. But I noticed Richard's tone with me had shifted slightly. Less warm. More distant. Like I was a supporting player instead of a co-lead. Office politics were already favoring Tessa's charisma over my quieter approach. I told myself it didn't matter. We were friends. She wouldn't deliberately undercut me. That night, I reread the email thread 3 times before bed. Something felt wrong. But I couldn't name it yet. So I ignored the knot in my stomach and went to sleep. The rumors started in the break room. I walked in one Tuesday afternoon to refill my coffee. And heard my name. The conversation stopped the moment I appeared. 3 people from the analytics team suddenly became very interested in their phones. But I'd hear D enough. Tessa's voice, soft and concerned. I'm worried about Madison, honestly. She's been really stressed lately, making little mistakes. I've been trying to cover for her, but I don't know how long I can keep it up. My hands froze on the coffee pot. They thought I'd left. Hadn't realized I was coming back. I poured my coffee slowly, face burning, and walked out without acknowledging them. That afternoon, Tessa stopped by my desk. Put her hand on my shoulder. Hey, you okay? You've seemed a little off lately. Her voice was gentle, caring, full of concern that felt too practiced. I looked up at her, confused. I'm fine. Why? No reason. Just checking in. That's what friends do, right? I nodded slowly. Smiled. Said thank you. But inside, something shifted. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just apologized for something I hadn't done. The gaslight had been lit. I just didn't realize I was standing in it yet. The missing files incident should have been my wake-up call. We kept all active projects in a shared cloud folder. Color-coded, organized, backed up religiously. One morning, 3 of my client briefs vanished. Completely gone. Not in trash. Not in archive. Just erased. I panicked, tearing through every subfolder, every backup location. Nothing. Tessa found me, nearly hyperventilating at my desk. What's wrong? My files are gone. The Morrison account, the Apex brief, the quarterly report. All gone. She frowned, leaning over my shoulder to check the folder. Oh no. I think I might have accidentally deleted them. Yesterday. I was cleaning up old drafts and must have clicked. My stomach dropped. Those weren't old drafts. Those were active projects. Now, I'm so sorry. But you keep backup copies, right? I did. On my personal drive. It took me 3 hours to restore everything, rebuild the folder structure, and share access. The whole time, Tessa kept apologizing profusely. Brought me coffee. Offered to help. That afternoon, she praised me loudly in front of Richard. Crisis averted, thanks to Madison's organization skills. I'd be lost without her backups. Everyone laughed. Richard nodded approvingly. I should have felt validated. Instead, I felt uneasy. Like I'd just been set up to solve a problem she created. But I had no proof. Just a growing seed of mistrust I kept trying to ignore. The company happy hour changed everything. It was a Friday night celebration for landing the Westbrook account. The whole team packed into a downtown bar, drinks flowing. Tensions loosening. I was talking to Grace from accounting when I saw them. Tessa and 2 colleagues from creative, huddled in the corner near the pool table. I couldn't hear the words. But I recognized the body language. The way Tessa leaned in conspiratorially. The way she gestured toward me while the others laughed. I excused myself and walked toward the bathroom, passing close enough to catch fragments. So serious all the time. Can't take a joke. Probably goes home and organizes her pencils for fun. More laughter. Tessa's voice, doing a mock, serious impression that was clearly supposed to be me. My face burned. I kept walking, locked myself in a bathroom stall, and stood there for 5 minutes, breathing through the humiliation. When I came out, Tessa was at the sink, touching up her lipstick. There you are. I was looking for you. Come do shots with us. I forced a smile. Said I had to drive. Left early. The whole way home, I replayed that laughter. The casual cruelty of it. The way she'd mimicked me like I was a joke. We are supposed to be friends. But friends don't mock you behind your back. They just don't. I started making mistakes. Real ones this time. Not sabotage. Just genuine errors born from distraction and anxiety. Missed a client email deadline by 2 days. Transposed numbers in a budget proposal. Forgot to update the distribution list on a status report. Small things that I never would have done before. But my focus was fractured, my confidence crumbling. Richard called me into his office on a Thursday morning. Closed the door. Sat down with his arms crossed. Madison, what's going on with you? Nothing. I'm fine. You don't seem fine. You're distracted. Missing details. That's not like you. I wanted to explain. Wanted to tell him about the missing files, the rumors, the growing sense that something was wrong. But how could I without sounding paranoid? So I just nodded. Apologized. Promised to do better. He looked at me like he was trying to decide something. Then sighed. Take a long weekend. Clear your head. We need you sharp. I left his office feeling like I was losing my professional identity. Tea-hat night, I opened a blank document on my laptop and started writing. Everything that had happened. Every strange incident. Every uncomfortable moment. Not for anyone else. Just for me. To prove I wasn't imagining things. It was the first step toward documentation. I just didn't know it yet. Grace found me in the supply closet the following Tuesday. I was restocking my desk drawer. With pens, trying to look busy, trying to feel normal. She closed the door softly behind her. Checked over her shoulder like she was about to share state secrets. Madison, I need to tell you something. I looked up. Okay? Be careful with Tessa. The words hung in the air. Between us. I wanted to defend my friend. Wanted to say Grace had it wrong. But I couldn't. What do you mean? Grace's expression was kind but serious. I've been here longer than most people. I've seen patterns. Tessa's done this before. Done what? Attached herself to someone talented. Learned from them. Then slowly pushed them out so she could take credit for their work. There was another woman, 2 years ago. Before you came. Same thing. Happened. My hands went cold. What happened to her? She left. Transferred to our Seattle office. Couldn't take it anymore. Grace squeezed my arm gently. I'm not telling you what to do. Just watch your back. She left. I stood there holding a box of pens, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to dismiss it as office gossip. But part of me, the part that had been keeping that private document, knew Grace was right. That quiet line stayed with me all day. She did this to someone else once. I wasn't special. I was just next. I caught her 2 nights later. I'd stayed late to finish a client report, the office mostly empty. Except for a few stragglers. Around 8 o'clock, I went to the break room for tea. On my way back, I passed the conference room and saw light under the door. Through the glass wall. I could see Tessa hunched over a laptop. My laptop. The one I'd left at my desk. She was scrolling through an open document, making changes, her face illuminated by the blue screen. Glow. My heart hammered. I pushed the door open. Tessa. She jumped, hand flying to her chest. Then laughed, too loud and too bright. God, you scared me. What are you doing? With my computer? Oh, I needed to check something in the Peterson file. Mine died and I didn't want to wait for IT. You don't mind, right? I was just fixing some typos I noticed. Typos. In a file she had no reason to be reading. I kept my voice calm. Next time, just ask. Of course. Sorry, didn't think you'd care. She closed the laptop, handed it back, and left. Quickly. Too quickly. That night, I went home and set up version tracking on every single document. Cloud backup. Change logs. Timestamps. If she was going to mess with my work, I'd have proof. I stayed polite on the outside. Smiled at her jokes. Shared my lunch. But inside, a storm was building. And I was finally ready to document everything. 2 weeks later, Tessa walked into our shared workspace with a proposal. She was practically glowing. Mads, I just talked to Richard. He wants us to co-lead the timeline account. It's huge. Like, career-making huge. The Timeline Corporation was our firm's white whale. Retail giant. National presence. Multi-million-dollar marketing budget. Landing them would make both our careers. I should have been thrilled. Instead, I felt uneasy. Both of us? Yes. A team effort. We'll show them what we can do together. She grabbed my hands, squeezing them with enthusiasm that felt too performative. This is it, Mads. This is our moment. Richard confirmed it in the afternoon meeting. Wanted us to develop competing proposals, then merge the best elements into one killer pitch. Professional but collaborative. I agreed. Smiled. Shook hands with Tessa in front of everyone. But that unease wouldn't leave. That night, she sent me a message. So excited for this. You handle the logistics and research. I'll focus on the creative narrative. Play to our strengths, right? I stared at the text. Logistics meant the invisible work. The foundation. The part nobody praised. Creative. Narrative meant the spotlight. The credit. The glory. I typed back, sounds good. But I knew exactly what she was doing. She was setting me up to do the work while she took the credit. Again. This time, I'd be ready. This time, I was documenting everything. The next week was brutal. Long hours. Tight deadlines. Pressure from every direction. Richard wanted preliminary concepts by Friday. The client wanted a preview call on Monday. Tessa and I practically lived in the office. On the surface, we were the perfect team. Collaborative. Supportive. Finishing each other's sentences. But I noticed things. Small miscommunications that seemed almost engineered. She'd tell me a meeting was at 2 when it was actually at 1, making me look unprepared. She'd forget to share updated timelines. Then act surprised when I worked off old information. She'd volunteer me for tasks without asking, then apologize sweetly when I was overwhelmed. Each incident was small enough to seem like an accident. But together, they created a pattern. I documented everything. Screenshotted conversations. Saved emails. Backed up every version of every file. The night before our big internal presentation to Richard, Tessa asked to borrow my USB drive. Mine's corrupted. I just need to transfer some files real quick. I hesitated. Then handed it over. She plugged it into her laptop, worked for a few minutes, and gave it back. Thanks. You're a lifesaver. I smiled. But later that night, I checked the drive. She'd copied my entire timeline proposal. Every slide. Every research document. Every strategy brief. My stomach turned over. She had everything. And the presentation was tomorrow morning. I walked into that conference room the next morning knowing something was wrong. Tessa was already there, chatting with Richard, her presentation pulled up on the screen. She smiled when she saw me. Bright. Friendly. False. Richard started the meeting. Tessa went first. And I watched in slow motion horror as she presented my work. My research. My strategy. My ideas. All delivered in her voice with her confident charisma. She'd changed just enough to make it hers. Reworded my sentences. Rearranged my slides. But the core concepts were mine. Every single one. When she finished, Richard applauded. Brilliant work, Tessa. This is exactly what we need. Then he turned to me. Madison, let's see what you've got. I pulled up my presentation. The one Tessa had already copied. The one that now looked like I'd stolen from her. My voice shook as I presented. Everyone could see it. The similarities. The overlapping ideas. Richard's expression changed from enthusiasm to confusion to disappointment. After I finished, silence filled the room. Then Tessa spoke, voice soft with concern. Mads, did you use my concepts? My blood turned to ice. What? No. These are mine. You copied my USB drive last night. She looked genuinely shocked. I borrowed your drive to transfer my own files. I would never steal your work. Richard held up a hand. Let's take a break. Madison, my office. Now. I followed him out, feeling every eye in that room judging me. This was it. The trap had closed. And my best friend was the one who'd sprung it. My name is Madison Cole. And this was the day my best friend decided to burn me alive. The HR meeting happened that afternoon. Me. Richard. Karen from Human Resources. And Tessa, sitting across from me with red-rimmed eyes like she'd been crying. Karen spoke in that calm, corporate tone designed to make accusations sound professional. Madison, we've received reports of concerning behavior. Specifically regarding intellectual property and collaborative work ethics. My hands went numb. I didn't steal anything. Then how do you explain the identical presentation? Because she copied my file S. I gave her my USB drive last night. She had access to everything. Tessa's voice broke. I can't believe you're accusing me of this. After everything we've been through together. She wiped her eyes. Perfect performance. Karen made notes. Richard looked at me like I was a stranger. Madison, we're placing you on administrative leave pending a full review. 1 week. We'll investigate and make a decision. I wanted to scream. To flip the table. To demand they check the timestamps, the version history, the digital trail. But I was drowning. Helpless. Disbelieving. I left the office in a daze. Tessa caught up with me in the parking lot. Put her hand on my shoulder. Tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry this is happening. I'll talk to Richard. I'll fix this. She hugged me. I stood there, arms at my sides, and felt nothing. That night, I sat in my apartment and cried until I couldn't anymore. Then I opened my laptop. And I made a decision. No one else was saving me. So I'd save myself. I spent my suspension week like a detective. My dining table became command central. Laptop. External drives. Printed emails. Sticky notes connecting timelines. I reconstructed everything. Started with the timeline presentation. Checked cloud version history. My files were created first. Dated 3 days before Tessa's. Pulled up USB drive logs. My drive had been accessed from Tessa's laptop at 9:40-7 the night before the meeting. Grabbed screenshots of every conversation. Every email where I'd outlined strategies she later claimed as her own. Logged into our shared project management system. Found tasks I'd completed. But that showed Tessa's name as the lead. Gathered evidence from the Hoffman account. The missing files incident. The break room rumors. Every strange, uncomfortable moment over the past 3 months. I built a timeline. Color-coded. Cross-referenced. Documented with timestamps and metadata. The picture was devastating. Systematic. Deliberate. A months-long campaign to undermine me while stealing my work. And I had proof. All of it. My grief. Transformed into methodical focus. Cold. Precise. Strategic. That's when I realized something important. Tessa thought she'd won. Thought I'd crumble under pressure and quit. She'd underestimated me. People often did. Because I was KET. Because I was nice. But quiet. People notice things. Nice people document. And I'd been paying attention the whole time. If she built a trap for me, I'd make her trip on it. Eleanor Hartley arrived like a storm in a designer suit. The firm announced her hire on my 4th day of suspension. New executive director. Brought in to modernize operations and improve client retention. I'd never met her, but I read her profile obsessively. Yale MBA. 20 years of experience. Reputation for being sharp, fair, and ruthless with incompetence. She was exactly what Brightwell needed. And maybe what I needed too. My suspension ended on a Monday. I walked back into the office expecting hostility. Instead, I got uncomfortable silence. People avoided eye contact. Tessa waved from across the bullpen, all smiles, like nothing had happened. That afternoon, my phone rang. Internal extension I didn't recognize. Madison Cole speaking. Miss Cole, this is Eleanor Hartley. Would you mind stopping by my office? My heart hammered. Of course. When? Now would be good. Her office was corner suite. Floor to ceiling windows. Minimalist furniture. She gestured to a chair. Closed the door. I'd been reviewing recent projects. The timeline pitch specifically. I have questions. I sat carefully. Okay. The presentation your colleague delivered. Very impressive work. But the metadata shows most core files originated from your drive. Want to explain that? My throat tightened. She'd already looked. Already found the inconsistencies. It's complicated. I have time. So I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. Took notes. Asked pointed questions. When I finished, she leaned back. Do you have documentation? Yes. All of it. Good. I'm putting together a special project. Off the record. Need someone I can trust. Interested? I felt hope re-ignite for the first time in weeks. My first real smile since the betrayal. Yes. Then let's get to work. Eleanor's special project was a rebranding campaign for a boutique hotel chain. Small account, but high visibility. She wanted fresh ideas. No politics. Just pure strategy. I threw myself into it. Worked nights and weekends. Poured everything into creating something undeniably mine. Meanwhile, I stayed under the radar. Polite to Tessa. Professional with Richard. Invisible to everyone else. I mirrored Tessa's tactics. Smiled. Agreed. Observed. Documented. But now I was feeding information to Eleanor. Carefully. Strategically. Showing her the patterns without making it obvious. Interesting how the Hoffman account proposal changed after you were removed from the distribution list. Strange that your files keep disappearing right before major deadlines. She ever said much. Just nodded. Made notes. Watched. During a team meeting, Tessa presented a new social media strategy. I recognized elements from my private brainstorming documents. The ones I'd purposely left accessible. Eleanor caught my eye across the table. Raised one eyebrow. She saw it too. After the meeting, she stopped by my desk. That was enlightening. Wasn't it? Keep doing what you're doing. Stay calm. Document everything. I am. She smiled slightly. Good. Patience is a weapon most people don't know how to use. I went home that night feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Not hope. Not happiness. But calm. Focused. Confident. The quiet strategist in me was coming back. And this time, I knew exactly what I was doing. Tessa's overconfidence was her undoing. With me seemingly beaten, her mask slipped. She became bolder. Meaner. Less careful. She started bullying Kylie, our 20-2-year-old intern. Sweet kid. Smart. Terrified of making mistakes. One afternoon, I walked past the supply room and heard raised voices. Tessa's voice, sharp and threatening. I don't care if it's accurate. Make the numbers match what I told the client. Just do it. But that's not what the data shows. Are you questioning me? Because I can have you removed from this program. Tomorrow. Silence. Then Kylie's small voice. Okay. I'll change it. I kept walking. Didn't intervene. Just documented. Sent Eleanor a quick message. Supply room. 3 o'clock. Might want to check the intern's current assignment. Later, I saw Kylie in the bathroom. She was crying, mascara running down her face. You okay? She looked up, startled. Then nodded quickly. Fine. Just stressed. If someone's making you do something that doesn't feel right, you can talk to HR. Or to Eleanor Hartley. She's fair. Kylie's eyes widened. Like I'd offered her a lifeline she'd been too scared to reach for. That night, I felt disgust and pity mixing together. Tessa wasn't just sabotaging me anymore. She was a bully. A manipulator. Someone who'd stepped on anyone to climb higher. But I didn't need to destroy her. She was doing it herself. I just had to document everything and stay out of the way. Rumors started swirling that Tessa might replace Richard. He was close to retirement. She was young, dynamic, successful. At least on paper. She grew arrogant. Stopped hiding her Ambitions. Started talking about restructuring teams, changing processes, bringing in her own people. Meanwhile, I noticed something strange. Financial discrepancies in her project. Reports. Small things. Expense claims that didn't quite add up. Client billing hours that seemed inflated. I wasn't looking for it. Just happened to not ice while reviewing quarterly summaries for Eleanor's project. I made copies. Highlighted the inconsistencies. Showed Eleanor during one of our private check-ins. She studied the numbers silently. This is more than incompetence. I know. This is fraud. My stomach turned. I'd wanted to prove she sabotaged me. I hadn't expected to uncover actual financial misconduct. What do we do? Eleanor's expression was steel. We document. We verify. And when we have enough, we report it. But not yet. Why not? Because right now, it's your word against hers. She's the golden girl. You're the suspended employee with an axe to grind. We need ironclad evidence. I understood. We were building a case. Not with emotion. With facts. That night, I transferred my evidence folder to a secure cloud. Triple encrypted. Backed up in 3 locations. Whatever happened next, the truth was preserved. The hunter had become the prey. Tessa just didn't know it yet. The breaking point came on a Wednesday. I was working at my desk when Kylie appeared. Beside me. She was shaking, eyes red from crying. Can we talk? Somewhere private? We went to an empty meeting room. She closed the door. Locked it. Then completely broke down. I can't do this anymore. She's making me falsify reports. Change data. Lie to clients. And if I don't, she threatens to fail my internship program. My heart broke for her. How long has this been happening? 2 months. Since right after you got suspended. I held her hand. Kylie, listen to me. I believe you. And I can help. But you need to be brave. How? Forward me every email. Every instruction she gave you. Every falsified report. Send it to my personal email, not work. Then send copies to Eleanor Hartley in HR. She'll fire me. She can't. What she's doing is illegal. You're protected as a whistleblower. But you need to report it. Kylie wiped her eyes. Nodded slowly. Okay. Okay, I'll do it. Within 2 hours. My personal inbox was flooded. Dozens of emails. Screenshots of text messages. Altered. Financial reports with Kylie's login but Tessa's instructions. It was devastating. Comprehensive. Undeniable. I forwarded everything to Eleanor with a simple message. The intern is ready to talk. Eleanor's response came back immediately. Good. The exact moment Tessa will fall has just been decided. Eleanor called me into her office the next morning. We're moving forward. But I need your help. Anything. The timeline pitch. The one that started all this. Corporate wants a final presentation next week. I'm assigning both you and Tessa to present competing versions. My stomach dropped. You want me to work with her again? No. I want you to create the real pitch. The one you should have given months ago. Meanwhile, I'm going to give Tessa access to a specific set of files. What files? Eleanor smiled. It wasn't warm. Bait files. They look perfect. But they're embedded with tracking metadata. Every time she opens them, every change she makes, every time she copies them, we'll know. I understood. A trap. Your trap. You volunteered to compile the final presentation materials, right? That gives you legitimate access to create the master files. And when she steals them, the metadata will capture everything. Her login. Her device. Her timestamps. Irrefutable digital evidence. I felt a quiet thrill. Righteous focus. What do I need to do? Create 2 versions. One real. One bait. Keep the real one secure. Make the bait accessible. Then watch. I left her office. And went straight to work. Spent the entire weekend building the perfect trap. The bait file was good. Convincing. But subtly flawed in ways only I would notice. And embedded with tracking code that would log every interaction. The real file was pristine. Perfect. Secured. With encryption only Eleanor and I could access. Monday morning, I placed the bait file in our shared drive. Labeled it Timeline Final Pitch, Master Copy. Then I waited. This time, I'd be the one watching. Tessa took the bait Wednesday night. I knew because Eleanor texted me at 9:15. She's in the system. Accessing your files now. I was home, sitting on my couch with my laptop, monitoring the shared drive remotely. I watched in real time as the bait file opened. Watched as Tessa spent 40-7 minutes reviewing it. Then watched as she copied it to her personal drive. The metadata captured everything. Her login credentials. Her device ID. The timestamp down to the second. Then she started making changes. Subtle ones. Rearranging slides. Rewriting key talking points. Removing my name from the credits. Adding hers. The tracking software logged every keystroke. Every modification. Every theft. At 10:0-3, she saved the file as Timeline Pitch, Tessa Vaughn Final. My phone buzzed. Eleanor again. Got her. Every bit of it logged and saved. I sat back. Felt anticipation and vindication held in perfect silence. For months, she'd been stealing my work. Sabotaging my career. Destroying my reputation. Now, finally, I had proof. Not suspicion. Not gut feeling. Proof. I opened my laptop and sent Eleanor the untouched master copy. The real presentation. The one I'd built from scratch without Tessa's interference. This is what I'm presenting Monday. Her response was immediate. Perfect. See you in the boardroom. Monday morning arrived cold and clear. I woke up early. Made coffee. Dressed carefully in my best suit. Drove to the office with my hands steady on the wheel. Strangely serene. The timeline presentation was scheduled for 10 o'clock. Full executive team. Client. Representatives. Richard. Eleanor. And Tessa, who'd been bragging to anyone who'd listen about her killer presentation. I arrived at 9:30. Set up my laptop. Loaded the real presentation. The one without tracking code. The one that was purely, undeniably mine. Tessa arrived at 9:40-5, confident and glowing. She sat up at the opposite end of the table. May the best pitch win, she said with a smile. I smiled back. It will. Richard opened the meeting. Welcomed everyone. Explained that we'd be seeing 2 approaches. Today. Client would choose their favorite. Tessa, you're first. She stood. Opened her laptop. Pulled up the file. My bait file. The one she'd stolen and claimed as her own. Started. Presenting with her usual charisma. Confide and polished. Engaging. But I noticed Eleanor. Watching her screen. Saw the slight nod she gave to the IT manager sitting in the corner. And I knew. The trap was about to spring. Tessa was halfway through the presentation when Eleanor stood. The room went quiet. Eleanor's voice was calm. Professional. Deadly. MS. Vaughn, before you continue, I need you to explain something. Tessa faltered. What? The metadata on that file. Would you care to discuss when you accessed it? The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Tessa's face went pale. What are you talking about? Eleanor nodded to the IT manager. He connected his laptop to the projector. Lines of code appeared on the screen. Access logs. Timestamps. Device IDs. This presentation was created by Madison Cole on her personal drive Friday evening. You accessed it Wednesday at 9:07 p.m. Copied it at 9:40-3. Made 14 modifications between 9:40-5 and 10:0-3. Then saved it under your name. Tessa's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Additionally, Eleanor continued, her voice never rising but somehow filling the entire room. We've been conducting an investigation into project management irregularities. Your name appears on multiple reports containing falsified data, inflated expenses, and altered client communications. She placed a printed stack of papers on the table. These are emails from intern Kylie Morrison, documenting your instructions to falsify financial reports and manipulate client billing. Richard's face had gone from confused to horrified. The client representatives exchanged glances. Tessa found her voice. This is insane. She's setting me up. Madison's been trying to destroy me since she got suspended. She's obsessed. I stayed silent. Didn't move. Didn't react. Eleanor slid one final page across the table. This is the digital forensics report. Signed by our IT security team and verified by an independent third party. Every file access, every data change, every theft is documented. Here. With your digital signature on all of it. Tessa stared at the paper. Her hands were shaking. Her empire of lies was disintegrating in real time. And everyone was watching. The meeting ended swiftly. Richard asked everyone except key personnel to leave. Within an hour, Karen from HR arrived with 2 security officers. Tessa sat in the conference room. Crying, still trying to explain. Still trying to blame me. She manipulated everything. She's jealous because I'm better than her. She's been planning this for months. Eleanor's voice cut through the hysteria. Ms. Vaughn, you're being terminated effective immediately for theft of intellectual property, falsification of company documents, and fraudulent financial reporting. Security will escort you out. We're still determining if criminal charges will be filed. Tessa's face crumpled. She looked at me across the table. You did this. You destroyed me. I finally spoke. My voice was quiet. Steady. No, Tessa. You destroyed yourself. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences. Security escorted her out. She was still crying, still protesting, but nobody was listening anymore. Richard approached me after she left. Looked older somehow. Tired. Madison, I owe you an apology. I should have listened. I should have Investigated before making assumptions. I nodded. Didn't say it was okay. Because it wasn't. Later, Eleanor called me into her office. The timeline account is yours. Full creative control. Lead strategist position. And a formal apology will be issued to your personnel file. Clearing all flags from your record. I felt tears threatening but held them back. Thank you. You earned it. Every bit of it. I left the building that evening as the sun set. The city lights reflected in the glass towers. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. 3 weeks later, I walked past the conference room where everything had begun. The glass walls. The mahogany table. The place where Tessa had smirked while watching me drown. It was empty now. Sunlight flooded through the windows, making the glass sparkle. I stopped and stared at it for a moment. Remembered the humiliation. The fear. The sick certainty that my career was ending. But also remembered the decision I'd made in that moment. Not to scream. Not to fight. But to document. To wait. To let her destroy herself while I built my case brick by brick. My voice was steady as I thought about everything that had happened. I never had to destroy her. I just stopped protecting her. The documentation did the rest. Patience wasn't weakness. It was strategy. I didn't win by being louder or meaner or more ruthless. I won by being smarter. By staying calm when everything in me wanted to rage. By trusting that truth, given enough time and evidence, would surface. I left the building that evening with my head high. No bitterness. No anger. Just peace. The kind that comes from knowing you survived something designed to break you. And came out stronger. The lesson was simple. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just stepping aside and watching someone collapse under the weight of their own lies.